For our viewers at home, the presentations are all on the City Council agenda page, PDFs at the end.
Thank you. My name is Tim Doyle. I'm a partner on your engagement. We have Heather Briggs with us here as well. You should have received several deliverables, which we've noted up on the screen. A required communication letter, which is a letter that's required on all audits to be provided to the Board of Governance. Your basic financial statements. Your uniform guidance single audit, federal compliance audit. Your New York State DOT or Department of Transportation audit, and then finally an internal control matters. On the required communication letter, as we mentioned, it is a required letter that requires your auditor to put certain items in writing to the Board of Governance.
Okay, start the stream, folks.
Most of the items that we attached were standard from year to year. Some noteworthy items that we had there, GASB 95.
Good evening, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Council of the City of Long Beach, held Tuesday, June 1st, 2021, at 7 p.m. We'll have a roll call. Councilmember Delury.
Here.
Councilmember Mandel.
Present.
Councilmember Treston.
Here.
Vice President McGinnis. President Bendo.
Present.
Let the record indicate the presence of City Manager Donna Gaden and Deputy Corporation Counsel Richard Barrios. We'll now the salute to the flag.
Councilwoman McGinnis, would you please lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Welcome, everyone. This has been a long time coming, so just a quick show of hands. How many people had to use Google Maps to remember how to get here? So it's good to be back live and seeing everybody in person again instead of through screens or just your names on a screen. And so let's get the show on the road. So why don't we start with the city manager's report?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back. I have two announcements before we get into my report. I want to say thank you to the entire fire department. Last week we had two major fires, and they worked well together. They got the job done, and unfortunately the two fires were on the exact same day. And so I want to make sure that we acknowledge every single firefighter, whether they are paid or volunteer. They did an excellent job. Also live is Meet the City Manager, so it's no longer virtual. I call it my office. I usually sit outside when it's really nice on the bench outside. But from 2 to 4 every Tuesday, you can make an appointment to come in and sit down and talk. Make the appointment with my executive assistant upstairs, Gina, and we can talk about anything or you ask questions. I always say knowledge is power. So when you have questions, it's better to ask where you're going to get the correct information than to hear which from someone else, which the information may not be correct. So on that, my first person is going to report is Commissioner Walsh.
And the major reason for that this year was threefold. Your OPEB liability increased, your pension liability increased approximately $25 million. We anticipate
a couple things I want to hold tonight with regards to the police department operation. The first thing is I want to review the website that we have.
There was also
the website is mostly up and running now. The only thing we don't have live right now is our statistics that brought in a new thing, like I've mentioned for a few meetings, called Microsoft
your uniform guidance audit,
and that is going to be tied to all of our databases. Up to date, certainly within 24 hours, probably within 4 hours. Case report data, calls for service, things of this stage
The
on our
programs
website.
tested, there were no
We
material
have right now
weaknesses and no
an area that's now
deficiencies
live where you
reported.
can make a compliment to the police department
And
or
in
a
your New
complaint
York
to the
State
police department.
Department
So
of
anonymous on
Transportation
the
single
website,
audit,
that's
there
reviewed
was
by
also an
the
unmodified
executive staff.
report issued on
and then
compliance, and the
referred as
report on
well.
internal
So
control.
if you get a chance to have a look at the website,
Compliance with requirements of those major programs.
we have a meeting coming up next week with regard to the police, excuse me, the police reform.
So on the first three auditors' reports, we
The
talked
city
about
manager
their
asked us to meet
responsibilities
this
in terms of
particular
their financial statements.
before I got here. Well, we're the group that actually put together our police plan with myself and the staff.
And we know the unmodified opinions on our opinions on those
The city
reports.
manager will be reviewing what the discussions were in response to some of the complaints that the PBA has made public around town. The last thing I want to bring up is
We also
the
issued
software
what we
that
call
we're
management letter or
very happy
control
with
matters.
working on this for a while.
And we talked
Now,
about
very,
material
very
weaknesses and
price.
significant deficiencies.
It's a thing called
Material weaknesses
QHIT.
are internal controls.
QHIT is a software that will be put in your process within the next month. That will give us up to the minute satisfaction surveys as to how the police department is doing.
Financial statements.
How that works is when we get a complaint, someone dials 911, we'll be sending them a survey within the next, depending on the rules that we put in place, depending on the type of call. So they will get a survey, they have the right to opt out of the survey if they don't want to take it. But the survey will ask 3 or 4 pointed questions as to how satisfied they were with the 911 call that they received, how satisfied were they with the police officer's response in handling their issues, and
Financial
then a
statement
text
audit
if
ready.
anything
We
is
did
wrong.
find this year that.
And that will be read live data, we get understanding on our website, so that the public will now know, and the administration will now know how the public feels about the service we are providing. All of the
When a resident dials 911, do we get immediately put to the Long Beach Police Department, or do we get to the county?
You dial 911 from your phone, some immediately go to our assistant. If you dial 911 from a cell phone, it will go to the Nassau County CV operations. They will ask you to get the address and hold on 1 second for the Long Beach Police Department. They will stay on the line. So with regard to this QHIT, you'll get surveys, we will get immediate feedback, and any negative surveys that we have, we will have tasks that we assign. If any of the comments or any of our surveys go negative, for the administration to follow up and find out why it was negative, so that we can
score in all local governments.
Any questions on that?
And some of the things that they've indicated as they look at there are fund balances.
Thank you. So what's important about the software is that it can be rolled out to other departments. And what I try to teach and what we talk about in all of our department head meetings, that we are here to serve the public. And in serving the public, you have to give them good responses. You have to hear what they say and make sure that we respond accordingly. Whether the response is a good response, no, we can't do that response, or we'll see if we can check into that response. But you have to give them a response. So this software can roll out to other departments. Thank you. Next, we have Monique Powell from Community Development.
So we noted some of those areas just for you.
Good evening. First off is the CDBG. So to talk about the Community Development Block Grant is to keep the mission that the city manager has expressed as far as access all. And the only way that we are able to really communicate that is to be transparent on what CDBG is. That's to go over what is the eligibility area. So on the website, we will begin to post what community development is in the eligible area. So it's just not one specific area, it's all the neighborhoods in the areas that is HUD has identified as, based on census data, as the areas that are eligible to receive any CDBG program funds or anything that the city administers using those funds. So that's the first step of transparency and understanding that everybody who fits under that area location, whether it's West End is one of the areas or North Park, is eligible for any programs under CDBG. Next is criteria, and that is that 51% low moderate income. So the second criteria of income, and if you fit under low, moderate income, you are eligible to receive any programs or services offered under CDBG. If you look at our recent census data from the past 10 years, not the newly updated, average income is $92,000. So low, moderate income is aggregated less than the $92,000, and those are the individuals that are eligible for our CDBG programs or services. So what we've been doing is codifying systems, understanding the mission, the goals, and the projects under CDBG, closing a lot of them out. It's more of like reframing the department with the people, place, and things that community development produces or provides. And that framework has now been simplified to youth services, senior services, and adult services. So that is going to be the new way that we're framing, and like I always say, the logic framework model will be based on those three things. What do we provide to youth, seniors, and adults? The next step was then to align our funding, so looking at what community development block grants provides us. We're at an average of $275,000 every program year. We're in the middle of the 46th year, leading to the 47th year. So completing these projects for 4 years, spending every dime to a zero, keeping the money in-house, aligning it to the new framework that we just said, because the city is providing services, not outsourcing. It is up to the city to provide community development. That's why it's federal dollars on the HUD, and that's why we're giving that. So to understand what that looks like, to tie into transparency with that, of who's getting it, how we're administering it, well, I think, as Donna always said, clears up. Accountability is that after every fund that's spent, it has to be towards those criteria that I said earlier. Also, there is something called a CAPER report that the city has to fill out. That means the city is accountable for every dollar spent. There's a lot of documenting and reporting that needs to be done, and a lot of data that must be provided with that. So with that being said, one thing that when it comes to documenting and reporting, after talking to Nassau County, Community Development, and Federal, is that there wasn't a lot of document reporting. So the first thing that we did was Submittable. So Submittable is a grant incoming database software that we will be using. There has been a lot of conversations about organizations applying. We have high turnover whenever there's public service, and looking for a staff email that no longer exists to verify whether someone applied for application. And this is also organization facing and even community residents facing. So if someone was applying for residential rehab, which is a prior program, someone was applying for aid, they will all go through what we call Submittable. And this is the software that we're procuring, and where the city manager, city council, comptroller will be able to review, the intakes, the applications. You will see whether someone's accepted. It is saved over the cloud. They must submit all their documents. They must provide proof that they're eligible for the programs, and we keep it cloud-based, and it was approved by IT. The next thing that we purchased was Jot forms. So we're moving forward with electronic forms instead of a lot of paper. When I first came in, we were doing a lot of shredding and documenting and finding things. So Jot forms, we are doing a lot of our community development forms via that, where you can get a QR code, you can fill out an application and fill it out. And we are doing DocuSign as well, where you can electronically sign the document, and then we can send it up to Nassau County. We want to eliminate the time between having CDBG funds, executing the program, and submitting it to Nassau County. Under that, I'll be quick, sorry everyone, a couple of things that we're doing under the senior services. We're actually working with Nassau County Office of Aging to receive vouchers for our seniors to use during the farmers market. We are doing Tech Thursdays, where we partner with a local CBO that will assist our seniors with their technology needs. From our survey, seniors said that they need to reach out to their family during COVID. They do not know how to work FaceTime or Facebook or what have you. So we have an organization that's coming in on Thursday. With CDBG funds, we purchased Amazon Fire tablets, where they can use them, they can learn how to, and even soon rent them out from us and bring them back. Under youth services, Joe and I was talking, we're doing the voucher. So there has always been opportunity for city housing youth to participate in any recreational programs. So we're now going to expand that opportunity to anybody that fits that low, moderate income eligibility to participate in any youth programs, and community development will copy the same voucher system from city housing and do the same thing. Is it city housing? I'm saying it right? public housing. Thank you. So we're going to do the same thing where any recreational program, including the summer camps, we will provide them with the same voucher and they can participate in any program. And this is anybody who fits that criteria, and that is the new voucher system under community development, under our youth services. The next is the youth council. So we are working on the youth council where they will come through training over the summer. The goal is to keep kids engaged and youth engaged over the summer. There's no longer summer season, school season, thanks to COVID. It's just keeping kids engaged and active. And finally, we are doing the Leroy Conyers Park enhancement that's coming up this weekend. We are in the process of getting the community to vote on what enhancement they would like for the park. It's to remove the shuffleboard and put some possible young tots playgrounds. And that is everything from community development in a nutshell. Questions?
Thank you, Mona.
All right, Joe, you're next.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Good evening. I'll try to be as brief as I can.
Announce yourself, because I did.
What's that?
I said announce yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. Joe Brand, Commissioner of Parks and Recreation. The weekend festivities got off to kind of a very hesitant start thanks to the wonderful weather that we had. But we did officially kick off the City of Long Beach for summer business on Sunday morning with our 10-mile race. Donna came down and kicked off the festivities. The race was won in a very wet and cold conditions by a former Long Beach High School hockey player, a gentleman by the name of Jack Mulvaney. So it was a nice feather in the hockey program's cap to finally have somebody who enjoys running for enjoyment and not when they're being chased by a cop. So it was good. Yesterday we were blessed with some beautiful weather for the ceremony at the VFW. Very well attended. In lieu of the parade, it was a really, really nice event, obviously celebrating those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice. Getting to the beach pass sales are brisk. We launched the electronic beach pass option. It's having, decent results for a first year of launching it. Councilman Delory and I had multiple conversations with how we felt it was going to be received and how utilized it was going to be, particularly for residents and season pass sales, proving the old adage that old habits are hard to break. People still enjoy standing online when they to buy their beach passes, and luckily we've been staffed at both locations with plenty of people there, so we haven't encountered the 3 and 4 hour lines that have plagued us in years past. So I have to give kudos to my staff because they've been working very, very diligently with the pass sales and with all of the background work that has to take place with uploads from the electronic ones. I get a frantic phone call at 10:30 at night from some of my supervisors, and they can't get through to this or can't get through to that, but they should be commended for that. They put a lot of work into this, and I think the bread and butter with that electronic pass sales, particularly for the first year, is going to be in the daily passes. It's a much, much simpler app to upload and purchase, not to upload, download the app and just purchase the pass. There's no uploading it and minimal information. It's basically your cell phone number. The Recreation Center and the Junior Lifeguards have partnered to offer student-specific pool time for the kids prepping for the upcoming Junior Lifeguard tests. Student swims programs ended last Friday. They'll be in the pool tomorrow, and they have all of the hours that were normally allocated to student swim that has been designed to get these kids prepped and ready for their program. I'm sorry.
That's on a first-come, first-served basis with these families?
Yeah, what we did is we blocked out 2 separate groups. One is for 10, 11, and 12-year-olds. There's an hour for them, 2 half-hour shifts. we could put more kids in the pool than we were able to put in all winter long. It's going to be, the junior lifeguards are going to schedule it. We'll staff it. The students are going to provide a lifeguard for it. So it was a collaborative effort on everybody's behalf to kind of get this thing. And then the 13 and older kids will come in the hour afterward. But there's 2 hours, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and then the retraining courses are this weekend. The following week, we have a full week without the holiday that the same schedule will be available to them. So they should get some good pool time. In terms of events and beach activities, we're still guided by COVID and guidelines. To that end, during the week ending May 28th, there were a total of 4 new confirmed positive test results in Long Beach. Nassau County's positivity rate is 0.5%, the best numbers that we've seen since the pandemic began, and more than 60% of Nassau residents have received their first dose of a vaccine. This is all very, very helpful information and encouraging information as far as my department's concerned with planning. We sat for the better part of 2 hours today, just kind of going over, all right, where are we in terms of what's up for the next month, and what's up, this week, and what we're going to be able to pull off and what we're not going to be able to pull off. Happy to report that Long Beach's most popular adult recreation activity, the League Beach Volleyball, is taking place as we speak. Not without its own fair share of glitches, which is probably going to be the overriding story to this summer. When we originally picked the location for the volleyball area, and by we I mean myself and Chief Gillespie, we try to find an area that can house a large group of people. Anybody that's familiar with the league knows on some evenings they get tremendous amounts of players down there. Where there's parking, where there's enough usable space on the beach, where we're not going to interfere with the fewest amount of people. Add all these things up, and we came up with the area by the parking pad at Laurelton Boulevard, and we were going to use Laurelton, Magnolia, and National, and then if we had to string temporary nets on big nights, we could go a little further east than there. We had some pushback from neighbors in the Lafayette-Laurelton area when we went down to examine the footprint after the emergency lanes put in and started to look around. We're not necessarily in disagreement with some of the complaints that are there. Part of the contract that Mr. Berrios and I put together with the leagues leaves a lot of language that allows for us, at the discretion of the Parks Department, the Long Beach Lifeguard Patrol, and the Police Department, to move things around as we see fit. Part of the reason for moving it a little further west, Scoot and Surf was moving one beach west from their normal location. Lifeguard headquarters is at Riverside Boulevard now. We have to have the ability to respond to emergencies from lifeguard headquarters, particularly at night when lifeguards are off duty. So having the amount of nets that normally would house during that volleyball league in that area could be something that may be a life or death situation. Again, as the footprint has been rolled out, Chief Gillespie and I have had conversations as recently as this afternoon that we do think we have a lot more room than we originally thought. So we'll play out this week with where we're at, and if we decide we want to move things around, then so be it. We'll move things around. What else? There are, like I said, Monique brought up the camps before. The camps are a collaborative effort now between rec and youth and family services. We're not looking to duplicate services. We're not looking to compete for customers. We're trying to design camp offerings that meet the needs of people who are just looking for a place to dump their kid a few hours a day, people who rely on it for childcare. And in addition to that, can we provide something that goes even above and beyond that 9 to 5 child care, because there are a number of people who have to have their children taken care of before 9 a.m. or after 5 p.m. So we're trying to meet all those needs. Additionally, we've been working with the school district. There's some remedial programs designed to help kids catch up from what was a difficult school year that they're offering before school in the locations that we're offering camps. So they would be able to take care of not only their schooling portion, but they'd also have the ability to attend summer camp. The July 4th race is going to happen. The summer concerts are going to happen. They'll begin on July 7th. There'll be 9 shows Wednesday nights, and they will go back to a rotating schedule of east, west, and the center part of town. How will you hear about it? Kerry told me if I don't explain this tonight, she'll never talk to me again. But the city recently implemented the use of a new email communication system as a way to inform our residents of upcoming community events and pertinent city news. So keep an eye out for a digital event newsletter in your inbox. And for everybody's knowledge, this is different from the Everbridge community notification system, which is reserved for emergency communications and important information such as hydrant flushing or a water main break. And lastly, I just wanted to make people aware that this Thursday, the 3rd, Mount Sinai, South Nassau's Vaxmobile will be at the MLK Center from 12 to 6. To schedule an appointment for a Pfizer vaccination, please call 516-812-3678. Second doses will be scheduled after the first dose on Thursday, and Johnson & Johnson is also available upon request. Any questions? Yes.
From pre-war, post-war times, it could have lead and solder, all the way through new copper. New copper for people to remodel. I'm sure in this market right now, there's a lot of people adding.
The bathrooms are open till normally about 10 o'clock.
Can't reach it. The water is not controlled for the use of the line that you mentioned. So you'll see a greenish change to the water. Those are kind of complaints we see where maybe the pH is not quite right.
And the other, or one thing that will probably or help alleviate some other concerns and quality of life issues, and Commissioner Walsh and I have spoken about this, the parking lots have to be vacated by 9 p.m. So we've made the volleyball leagues aware of that, and I'm sure there'll be a feeling out process at the start of this, especially June. It does stay lighter later, but I think they'll get the message that, look, volleyball is over time ago. Yes, and we can't charge for the parking lots, yes. First thing I thought of, sorry. Their big nights are Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. They have much smaller participation on Monday and Friday nights. And rather than in terms of teams, we do it more by how many nets they put up. So some nights they'll double up and put up as many as like 70 nets, but on a Monday or a Friday, you wouldn't see more than like 15 or 20 nets, or the weekend tournament play 15 or 20 nets. Yeah, the posts stay there, and then we actually take the volleyball nets themselves down. They're taken down at the beach entrances. The code calls for 25 feet of space between for people to walk through. And again, if we think that the net placement is causing a nuisance for anybody, we're well within our rights to move it and put it someplace where it's not. So.
Basin cover project, which incorporates a cover, almost like a tennis bubble cover, to keep seagulls, etc., as well as the more malicious intent.
Normally they start around mid-May, 6 p.m. Yeah, like 6 p.m. to sunset, or their games finish, and then it's just a question of them kind of lingering around and hanging out and enjoying each other's company. But it's a social event for them. It's a tremendously successful event. It's financially it's lucrative for the city, so it's important to us budget-wise too. So. You're welcome. Anybody else?
Just another quick question, because as you know, I'm nosy. Is there a ratio of residents versus non-residents that play?
I could find out. I mean, we have a tremendous amount of non-residents that come here to play beach volleyball, a tremendous amount. But I'm sure everybody in this room has a friend, neighbor, or relative that plays it as well. I mean, it's well attended by both, and and successful because of both.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware that we do have the two different parking lots. Those parking lots are privately owned, therefore we cannot charge, and the families do not want us to charge because they do not want the liability. And so several people have contacted the office and say, why don't you start charging for the parking lots, and especially since we got the other parking lot this year on Lafayette. We cannot charge, and if the family finds out we're charging, they will yank both parking lots from us. So I just wanted to make sure that's clear. The last person that's speaking is Mr. Thomas Canner, Director of Operations and Public Works.
Good evening, everyone. I'll just touch on the bathroom thing real quick. You know, there's 10 bathrooms, 2 on the beach and 8 on the boardwalk. They open at 7 a.m. and they close at 10 p.m., except for if there's an issue where there's an event, you know, one of the ladies out of working, they'll call one of the supervisors and we'll leave it open should it need be. The other thing we're doing on the beach is, you asked about the mats, Liz. We'll put one at Delaware tomorrow. We actually forgot that one. I apologize. We have them at New York Avenue. We have them at Lafayette Boulevard. We have one at Long Beach Road, Neptune Boulevard, and Pacific Boulevard. Those are
Okay, I'm
locations.
just going to jump on that because I've heard, I do not live on Delaware. This mat is not for me. Thank you.
No, it's for a family that has, I believe there are three kids.
Multiple children.
Yeah, multiple children that need the mat. So we'll do that, no problem. One of the things we're doing is we're rebuilding new lifeguard chairs. We're going to build them out of wood. I think there's 24 of them. We're going to cut them down. The ones that we have obviously are outdated, they're rusted. The new ones, we're going to make them about 6 foot high. And the reason for that is we'll be able to build the mounts, and then Gillespie staff, you know, chief of lifeguards, they can put them on top. Should there be a storm, they can take them out, put them in the back of the beach. If the mount washes away, we can come back and build the mount. So it's less work, it's less resources, you know, less machinery. It's just a lot easier. It's something we've wanted to do for a while. We brought it to Donna, and she was okay with us doing it that way. It just makes more sense. On the front of the boardwalk, the dune, we just finished putting all the new snow fence up. The new dune, it has, if you see, there's like a little mound in front, and the snow fence is meant to catch the sand and build the dune up so it grows out and up at the same time. So it's doing its job, as Commissioner of Public Works Joe knows. So every few years we'll have to put new fence up. We just finished doing that. We put new showers in the west end. The old stand-up showers that were there, they were outdated, rusted. We was a pain in the neck to get the parts for them. We took them out. We put the same showers that are all across the new walkovers on the boardwalk. And we will be building decks. So when people are showering, they'll be standing on the deck, not in the sand. We should have that done in a couple of weeks. What else we got? At Veterans Park, over in the Recreation Center, we just refurbished the whole bathroom over there. The guys did a great job. They painted it, they power washed all the woodwork, stained it. We did a new ADA door with the closer there. We put all new hi-hats in. It looks beautiful. Unfortunately, we can't open it for another week because the only part we're not in control of is the partitions. We ordered them. They'll be here sometime next week. So when that's done, we'll be able to open that up. We did all the new backstops on the field. We put new fountains in. I think we put, 10, Joe? 10 new fountains. They have filters in them, and they have bottle filters. So it's not the old school type of fountain where people are actually drinking at it. You know, it's a good idea with COVID. The walking path, the blacktop walking path, we'll be working with the Highway Superintendent Greg Scott. I think right after the 4th of July, we'll be putting a whole new walking path in. We're going to pull that one up. It was cheaper to have a company come in and pull it up and put new down than for us to try to patch it in. So in the chair, it'll probably take about 2 weeks to do that. And Joe will tell you about the pool and everything else. And what else we got? What I missed? Yes. We went through the whole city. We did Park Avenue, the west end, the east end, all the beach approaches, cleaned everything up, weeded out all the gardens. Anything that was dead, pulled it out, mulched it. We'll be finishing the west end tree pits. We did the west end turnaround. the Welcome to Long Beach signs and the sign out here for the food market. We have a company that's going to come in and they're going to refurbish the whole sign for us. When we get it, we'll put them back up because they're outdated, they're beat up, they're falling apart, they're old plywood. The signs we're getting now, it's a composite material, so it should last twice as long and it's half the price of the old one.
Rest of cleanup.
What's that?
Weeds, cleanup.
Oh, Donna loves weeds. She told us water them and let them grow. So yeah, we pulled all the weeds out in every
Still
spot.
pulling.
Donna has a very green
Yeah.
thumb.
Oh, I know. She was out there pulling weeds with us. So that means I got to get out there and do
It's
something.
where you see the cars parked on the angles. There are weeds growing. All those weeds in the next month will be removed. Where you see dead bushes, where you see cars parked, those dead bushes have to be moved. I want people that work for the city and people that live in the city to be proud of the city, which means that we got to keep the city clean. So once we get it to the point we want it, then it will be much easier to maintain. I want people to be able to park their car and not see a weed about this tall in front of their car. I want them to just be able to park their car and say, look how clean this is. So I've been walking with the staff throughout the entire city, looking at where we need to clean, what we need to do, what we need to paint, what we need to replace, and then we go to Joe and say, okay, now find us some money in capital projects that we can get this done.
Yeah, we're in the process, and like Donna said, there's a few dead trees on Broadway. We'll be pulling all those out, mulch in the area, and then this year we'll be returning to planting flowers. Well, it's a little late now. We'll do what we can. But in the fall, we planted the kale. You know, it's the green and the purple is beautiful. So we'll have money in the budget for next season to plant flowers for the spring, and then we'll do this fall. We'll do the kale. So it's a nice look, and it keeps all all the trash and everything that gets stuck in there. It's nice. It looks real good. And we'll be painting the Martin Luther King Center. We temporarily patched the roof over there. We have a contractor that gave us a price. We'll have to try to find the funds to repair that. But in the meantime, we had a contractor come in temporarily repair the leak in the roof, replace all the ceiling tiles, and we should have to paint this week. And we're going to paint the whole outside of the place. And then the highway department did a great job. The concrete was a little sketchy over there. They pulled everything up, put it all down. It looks beautiful. So I think then that's it, right?
And I'd like to just thank, for those of you that have come into City Hall this evening, you may have noticed that it's how clean it is, and the new paintings of former politicians and mayors in the hallway where they should be, so everyone can see it. And I'd like to thank you for your staff and time for that as well.
Well, thank you. They do a good job. They try. So, yes, sir. Oh, you're right. Yeah. Yes, specific playground. There's an issue there where when one of the contracts they put the equipment in, they didn't put the concrete down that deep. So when the wind blows, it was exposing the concrete, which is obviously dangerous, to anybody in there, especially the kids. So the recreation maintenance staff has been in there every day making sure that it's covered. The fence blew down. It was a chain link fence, and it's there's high winds over there. So we took it down, and we built a 2x8 fence. So we don't have that issue anymore with the wind blowing. We will address, we're going to have to, in the off season, we're going to put some rubber around it for now so nobody can get hurt. And we'll address it in the off season. We'll have to dig it up and just do it the right way. Yes, definitely. You're welcome. Any other questions?
No, sir.
So I just want to make sure that everybody is aware we have money in the capital budget. So as we're trying to do beautification within the city, it is money that has been sitting there for a while, and we have identified this money and what we can do with it that was in the capital budget, and we're using it to beautify the city because we know we will have people putting on social media, oh, they're spending money for this, they're spending money for that. This is money that the city already had, and we're putting it to good use.
You mean somebody would complain in Long Beach?
Thanks. Okay, thank you very much. If there's no questions, that ends my report.
I keep hearing from people listening at home that some of the microphones are not on. They mentioned Mike and Karen, so just, I guess, check your microphone.
It
Oh,
wasn't
okay.
mentioned. I'm shocked.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
So
you.
that ends my report.
All right, thank you. And I believe Councilman Delory had something he
I
was
just
gonna
have something
talk about.
to talk about briefly. On Saturday, May 1st, the Long Beach Lions held a Zoom bingo fundraiser. The purpose was to raise money for a family for a young boy, Tyler Lipsky, in need of a ramp and the installation of a chairlift. I'm happy to pass on that they raised over $6,000 through bingo and private donations. And I'm going to lateral it over to Councilman Mandel.
Thank you, Councilman Delory. In addition to that, on Thursday, May 27th, the Long Beach Lions had their annual scholarship in which they awarded to Long Beach High School student Julianne Robinson the amount of $500. In addition to that, the Lions also presented Robert Blau, who's the president of the Long Beach Soup Kitchen, with a check for $500. So we appreciate the Long Beach Lions. Thank you.
Okay. And
Wait, before we end, I just want to also mention that June begins Pride Month as well as hurricane season. So please get those two go bags together. Sam's downstairs. You can look at the Long Beach website at lbready.gov and get any information. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have on that.
all right, anyone else? All right, I can't see Councilman Delory from up here, so if he starts dozing off, somebody please let me know so I can throw this at him.
I'm sure the cameras will point that out. President Bendo. Or you.
All right, so why don't we move on to the agenda?
Item number 2 has been taken off the calendar for tonight. So we're going to start with a public hearing for a resolution granting waiver of off-street parking requirements for premise 154 East Park Avenue, street floor, for a holistic alternative products store.
Okay, I didn't even have to ask.
You know, we're excited a little bit. It's the
Good,
first one we're
welcome.
doing.
So tell us a little bit about your business.
Well, my name is Edward Janusa. My other half over here, Mackenzie Coughlin. We started a company called CB Trees back in 2017 in my little one-bedroom apartment in Miami, and now have successfully got several products out into mass distribution. We're signed with a few mass distributors. We're proud to say we're going to be on Amazon the next couple of months, and we happen to fall into the opportunity of getting a little storefront in my hometown, born and raised here, and we'd like to see what we can do with these products that we've been branding and developing over the past 4 years and really put our ideas all under one roof.
Okay, great. So when you say holistic products, what I mean, I see the paperwork says you're talking about some clothing and stuff. And
so primarily what we use, the company is called CB Trees. We are a CBD hemp-based company.
So it's CBD
primarily.
products.
However, that doesn't limit a lot of our products. Getting into this business has taught us to brand and really get into the vegan lifestyle. We're a little all over the place when it comes to certain types of products, but it's only because certain distribution wants certain types of products for their outlets. For instance, we have a complete alternative cigarette brand. It's a 20-pack of cigarettes. It's 100% nicotine and tobacco free. The blend of hemp that we've sourced, Mackenzie and myself have toured farms over the past 3 years. The blend that we have, with a little bit more money and research behind it, we're showing to actually successfully fill the dopamine release that nicotine and tobacco gives you and releases in your body, thus pulling people off of it on a chemical level and giving them a better alternative product. All the way to our vegan spice line, which in the next 2 months, hopefully you'll see in all the King Cullens over here. Cross our fingers and we'll be out there. So from that to creams and balms and anything in between, it really turned into what we can brand with the sources we've had. And now we'd like to take it and put it all under our own roof and have all of our own products under our own brand rather than just here and there and distribution lines we've built up for other products out there.
Okay, and just for the edification of the people listening, this is the old hair tanning salon. It's a few doors east of Stevens Pasta on Park Avenue. So just so you know where we're talking
Apparently there used to be a little vape store in there,
yeah.
I was told. I was in Florida at that time, and Oregon for a little while as well. But apparently that was there. And I'll tell you this, there's a lot of foot traffic over there. There's a lot of good people, you know.
Yeah.
So we're really excited to see what we can do.
Sort of near the new Codfish Cowboy location.
Yes. Right next door.
Right. So
You'll see. We'll have that front window glowing soon. 100%. We don't play when it comes to that. We like to be loud and proud.
Not too loud.
Not too loud. Not too loud. But you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Appropriately loud.
All right, so I'm just looking at the paper. So you're going to be 6 days a week, Monday to Saturday?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And
Sundays,
it looks like
Sundays
8
are
hours
for
a day.
pasta.
Yeah, there you go. And you don't expect, looks like you're not expecting much in the way of deliveries?
Nope. We supply everything that we do. So deliveries are not a problem at all. We don't really have much to set up when it comes to the actual space itself. I don't think we should take up much room. I think it's just going to be very sharp, clean, and efficient.
Will you still be selling products on a website?
Yes, absolutely. You can check out our website when you guys are done. We are having it revamped because we would like to get all of the products on there, not just the highest sellers that we've had. And it took a little bit of time and money to get this all in order. But you can check it out now just so you can read a little bit about what we've done, where we've been, and a little bit of where we're headed as well.
Okay, great. Any questions from the other council members? All right, hearing none. How about from the public? You got.
Please come up to the microphone and give your name, please.
Mr. Depper.
You have to state.
Can you please come up to the mic and give your name, please?
Mr. Depper.
Can you come up to the mic,
and
please?
State your name, please. Public.
Hi, my
State
name
your
is
name
William
and address for the
Depper,
record.
and I was asking him, does he have like crystals? Because most of the people I know, they're into like the crystals and like different sounds. So is he going to have like
Shop last week.
cassettes and stuff like that, or is it just basically?
So you mean it more like knick-knack crystals or the crystallized form of crystals itself? It's a great idea to put on the shelf. But thanks for the idea. I didn't plan on it.
2 weeks ago.
Anyone
All right.
else, I'm more than open to talking about it. We have a lot of knowledge in the industry. So if anyone has any questions at all, please feel free to ask.
All right, any more questions from the public? All right, seeing none, let's close the hearing, and why don't we move that item now so he doesn't have to wait for the results?
Okay, so we're going to vote on the calendar item, which is item number 3, which is a resolution granting waiver of off-street parking requirements for premise 154 East Park Avenue street floor for a holistic alternative product store. Who introduced and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Delory.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
Vice President McGinnis.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes, and welcome and good luck.
Okay, on to the regular calendar. Item 1 is approval of minutes of prior meetings of April 6, 2021 and April 13, 2021. Do I have a motion to approve?
I just have one question before we do that quick. The 13th meeting was a special meeting, but the opening sentence of the minutes say a regular meeting of the city council.
I can make that correct.
Is that okay? Okay.
Just you so move?
What's that?
Do you move the
So I'll
approval?
move to approve the minutes.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Delory.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
Vice President McGinnis.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 2 has been taken off the calendar. Item 3 has already been voted on. Item 4 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into agreement for the furnishing, removal, and installation of a new PVC pool liner for the Long Beach indoor pool from the lowest responsible bidder.
Okay, I'm assuming that's our Public Works Commissioner.
Yeah, good evening. I'm Joe Fabrizio. I'm the Commissioner of Public Works. This resolution is to award replacement of the PVC, the contract for the replacement of the PVC pool liner at the Recreation Center. On October 29, 2020, we received 3 bids for replacement of the PVC pool liner at the Recreation. The low bidder was Renesis Corporation at $114,250. The second bidder was Natari Corporation at $140,025. And the third was Aquatic Dynamics Their bid was $357,747. Renesys is the same bidder that successfully completed the installation of the pool liner in 2013. So the liner is now about 8 years old and it's ready to be replaced again. So therefore, we recommend awarding it recommend awarding the contract to Renesys. Our intent, funding for this resolution, just so you're aware, it does list on there that it's through the capital budget. However, there is funding through the CDBG program to fund $100,000 of this project, which unfortunately just didn't come through yet. I mean, Monique could elaborate a little more on that if need be, but funding ultimately will come from the CDBG program. It's just being fronted, so to speak, through the capital budget. When we do this work, I apologize. Someone have a question? Oh, okay. When we do this work, we're going to be also repairing the balcony in the pool area. There's an issue with the balcony that's in a state of disrepair. So when the pool's closed, we're going to actually undertake that work as well. And that's pretty much it. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
I just have a question. About how long would it take for the lining and the balcony to be done?
It's about a month. It's going to take about a month.
When do they anticipate starting work?
It's probably going to be in the next 6 to 8 weeks. It's about a month's lead time for the liner, and that's why it was important that we get this on the agenda.
Joe, this was also budgeted in the previous year's capital budget when I printed it out for $80,000. So I
didn't see that actually,
yeah.
But I'll check on that.
I remember that because it was
Okay.
supposed to happen before COVID.
Yeah.
So that was $80,000. So I don't know if that was tied up with the prior fiscal year CDBG funds, right?
That's possibly what it was.
Okay, so then in this current year's capital plan, you have it budgeted under the city funding, and then you have it budgeted from non-city funding as well.
Correct.
So it's budgeted twice, and is that just because of timing?
Yes, that's basically what it is. Yeah,
Okay.
Essentially, it's $100,000 of this project is going to be funded through the Community Development Block Grant Program. I put that money in the capital budget at the City Control's request because it wasn't available yet.
Yeah, it's because it's cash. Got it. Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner, I have one question. What is the lifespan of a pool liner?
It's about 8 years.
So
8 or 9 years. So we're right at the useful end of the useful life of the liner that was installed in 2013.
Okay, and then if some defect occurred prior to that, would you know if there's a warranty on there?
There is a warranty, but I don't know the duration of the warranty. I'll
Okay.
find out for the new installation.
I'm just curious.
Absolutely.
Sometimes, if it's 8 to 10 years, if there's any benefit for extended warranties or things like that. I don't.
No, that's an excellent point. I will check with Renesys to determine what the warranty is on the new liner and if there are any extended warranties that are available.
And if there's any particular maintenance issues that need to be maintained going forward. Not that you would handle that, but sometimes there's certain vacuums or certain issues that have to be adhered to in order to extend the lifespan of a liner.
Correct, like certain maintenance.
Right.
For instance. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I understand.
Thanks, Commissioner.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
All right, any questions from council members?
Okay.
My name is Nathan Bondar. I'm a consultant for the Housing Authority of Repositioning. So to answer your question, so the way it works is it's based on the rent roll basis.
The manufacturer, yeah. That sometimes things are not communicated to the people that have to, but they're responsible. You know? Thank you.
All right, any other questions from the council? Okay, any questions from the public?
Mm-hmm.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Roy Lester.
Hi, Roy.
Now we get to see you in person.
I should be charging, right? Mike, I'm glad you asked the question because I went through this with the state when we replaced East Bathhouse Pool with the liner. And I remember before we replaced the liner, we had tile. And as you made the flip turn, of course, you cut your foot every time. But what was our warranty on this liner? When we put it in not that long ago. And if you look up liners, pool liners, it's average a 25-year warranty. It's a limited warranty, but it's, we're talking 25 years. So you look at what's, an average pool liner last without anything, it's 10 to 15 years. So I'm kind of surprised that at an 8-year lifespan, and I'm kind of surprised what we had as a warranty.
Keep in mind, I did not have any consultation with Mr. Lester. I think I've learned how to think what he will ask.
About time, Mike. It's about time.
It's about time. I'm sorry to interrupt. Do you have any other questions, Mr. Lester?
No, it's just the warranty. It wasn't that long ago. Let me tell you, though, when it was put in 8 years ago, what a godsend. It was just wonderful. But I'm just surprised, and I'm kind of curious because, if it's a manufacturing defect and the warranty doesn't really apply, and we can... Are you saying great minds think alike? Is that what you're saying?
No comment. That was my concern, is how and what should we be doing to generate the long-term benefits of a pool liner, because I certainly don't know that. And I don't know if there's any experts here that do, but to have a consultation with the manufacturer to train those people that maintain it.
Do we know what the warranty is on the new one?
I do not.
Okay. No, I'm asked about the old one. What was the warranty on both of them? Yeah. Yes. Okay. Thanks a lot. It's my son back there. Can't leave him alone with you sharks.
All right, any more questions from the public? Okay, let's move on to the item 5.
Item 5 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to amend the agreement for rehabilitation of the Long Beach Bus Garage and commuter parking facility.
Yes, this is a change order for Carl Walker Construction for the City/Long Island Railroad parking garage in the amount of $16,858.14. The change order for this is actually $91,858.14. However, there's a contingency in the contract of $75,000. So after exhausting that contingency, we need an additional $16,858.14. That's where that number comes from. So the change order is actually 91. We need 16,858. This change order, it's basically solely related to an increase in quantities in the contract. If you want me to, I can go through them all. I do have them listed if anybody wants that information. But overall, the original contract value was $729,285. With a change order of $16,858, the new value is $746,143. So this basically represents a 2% increase to the overall contract value, which is, for a project of this magnitude, is I think reasonable. Funding is available in the capital budget for this. We borrowed probably about $1 million for the project. So between the consultant fees and the construction fees for Carl Walker, we're still going to be well within budget overall. We'll actually probably have money left over to pay debt service when it's all said and done. And that's pretty much it. I do have a detailed breakdown. If you want, I can go through it, of what each what the change order is specifically, like each item in the contract, if you want me to go through it, or if the public wants.
Will the change order add time to the project?
It will not. We're still on schedule to finish by roughly July 1st. It's going to be open again. There's one item, it's called shear connections. Basically, where the two slabs connect, there's a shear connector. And approximately, they estimated 230, but estimated being 372 that had to be, they don't replace them. What they do is they actually put like an angle underneath that connect the two slabs together instead of repairing the actual shear connector that connects the slabs together. So those slabs are, those connectors or angles that they're ordering are on order, and they can do them from underneath after the facility is open. So they're still on schedule to open July 1st, but these extra connectors that they need to put in, which is part of the change order, are on back order, and they'll probably be 4 to 6 weeks, mid-August. But again, they could do that when the facility is open from underneath. So they should, to answer your question, it's not a delay in the schedule.
Now that the COVID restrictions are being lifted and more people are probably going to be going back to work, I'm expecting more people are going to be looking to park. Will there be any opportunity to maybe like partially open like the ground level on the backside or anything, or do
I think they're
they
looking
still
for
need
a
that for
complete
work?
opening. I think they're looking for a complete reopening.
Okay.
They're just about done with the majority of the work. The last thing you're going to see is a complete coating. They're resealing all the joints up there, so they're going to put a whole new, it's like a polymer coating with new striping, so there'll be no more leaks underneath. There won't be raining.
That'll be a nice change.
And they're on schedule, by July 1. We should be in good shape. It'll be opened up.
All right. Any questions from council members? All right, Roy. I see Roy's grabbing the pew, so he's.
Not deserting them. It kind of reminds me of the Indiana firehouse, where they go in and they say, oh, well, we didn't know about this, we didn't know about that. And I know we put a contingency aside, and was it 10% we put aside? Yeah.
Obviously, that's not our.
So a little bit more than 10%.
The authority's purview, but I would.
Yeah, and it's eaten up already. So if we have anything else, it's more than eaten up. Promise? Okay. I'm just wondering if we can get on our bidding a little bit tighter on the specifications so that people don't come back to us every time and say, oh, well, we didn't know about this or we didn't know about that. Well, listen, when I take a case and if I say it's going to be this much money and I don't know about it, shame on me. And I'm just trying to, if we could tighten it up in some way, and I guess, Joe, that would be, if there's anything you could do, because it seems to happen a lot.
And in no time would we ever tell our residents to have to do 100%. The issue is that they don't come to meetings, they don't understand the process, and that's where we're getting.
It was really muscle, right? You brought some muscle in?
They come to the meeting, we discuss it.
No, I'm just, what, I see the consistency, and I'm trying to avoid it.
You've been having Zoom meetings for quite some time.
Joe, can you come up to the mic because the people listening online can't hear?
Yeah, in this situation, again, the shear connectors that hold the slabs together, until you remove the caulking in between the joints, you can't see them, even though a lot of it was already gone from years and years of decay. So there is a lot of unknowns to this project.
So that's one I'm trying to, if you're good enough, you'll know the unknowns.
Joe,
you'll look at it carefully.
Excuse me, Commissioner Fabrizio. When you do construction projects, what's the average percentage that you are supposed to add to a contract for change orders?
10%. I feel comfortable with 10%.
10 to 15 is what I'm used to. So
2% is very good.
Exactly. Thank you.
This was $1 million contract. Oh, so this is 10%. So it wasn't 2%.
Well, the contract value was 7.9.
Yeah.
So it's 2%.
Get people up to speed.
$91,000.
No, but the contract is 7. The contract is 729. The actual value now with the over the contract value is only 2%. Yeah, correct.
Okay.
75,000 is part of the contract.
But it's put aside for screw-ups. Theoretically,
it's not screw-ups.
when you bid the contract, you don't bid an extra 10%. I mean, you put 10% aside, but if you say, I'm going to the store and I'm buying a loaf of bread for $1, you don't say, here's $1.10. You know, you give them the dollar. We contracted out for $729, right? Yeah, and then we put another $75,000 aside.
No, 16.
Oh, so the 75,000 was, but we had a contract to pay them not the 729, the 729 minus the 75,000. Yeah, 650. Yes. Yeah. All right. So we had a contract.
No, the contract is $75,000 contingency.
So we automatically
We're
put a
above that.
contingency.
I have the discretion, without coming to the council, to spend that $75,000. Anything above that is why we're here today.
But if they had completed the contract and nothing had gone wrong,
It would have been $650,000.
that's right. All right, thanks.
You're correct.
Joe, just one quick question. Since, there is periodic maintenance that's required and upkeep on the garage, and the parking fees are what is supposed to fund that, should we be putting some of those fees in a lockbox to let it build up each year, so when we do have to do work on the garage, there is a kind of a fund in place?
Absolutely. That's absolutely. Maintenance is critical. And one of the problems that, this facility was built probably in the late 90s.
Right.
And, we have done minimal maintenance over the last 25 years at the facility. And we, going forward, as long as we do routine maintenance, we won't have to spend this kind of money. Some of the basic things that we noticed when we were up there, everything was drained, was clogged.
Is that something?
So that's something where, I've talked internally, we're going to make sure we have a conscious effort to do that periodically.
Yeah, and anybody who parks in there was aware of the condition.
Yeah, but even plowing, we should use rubber plows instead of plows with a steel
All right,
bottom.
so maybe that's something to discuss with Ina.
So there are a lot of things we could do.
Okay. Any other questions from the public? All right, seeing none, let's move on to item 6.
Item 6 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement for hazard mitigation work at the Long Beach Ice Arena with the lowest responsible bidder.
Okay, this is the second of 11 hazard mitigation projects through the FEMA Public Assistance Program. We've completed one successfully, which is the West End Community Center. This is the second. It's the Ice Arena hazard mitigation. It's bids on Thursday, March 11th, 2021. We received 2 bids for this project. Premier building renovation was the low bidder at $912,500. The second bidder was structural preservation systems at $1,793,200. The scope of the work for this project, a main component of this, which is really a coup for the city, we're going to be repairing the structural defects in the east exterior corrugated wall. Right now, if you go down there, it's actually it appears that it's almost like collapsing upon itself. You can't even open the new doors that we put in because the weight of the structure is coming down on it. It's pretty interesting the way they're going to actually repair it. On this east wall, they're going to actually cut all of the corrugated steel above it, and they're going to actually brace it, and they're going to build a foundation wall under it, and that will be what holds it up in the future. And we had dealt with FEMA, and our consulting firm basically said that it was latent damage from Hurricane Sandy, and they are going to fund that whole repair on the east side. In addition to that, they're going to be replacing all the double doors in the front of the facility. There's 3 sets of double doors. They're going to be putting it's a polymer reinforced fiberglass wrap around the whole perimeter of the building. Basically, what they do is they put a stucco, sort of like a mesh against the material, and then like a stucco over that, and then they put a polymer fiberglass reinforced wrap around the whole building. Plus, they're going to be putting in a stop lock system at each entry/exit around the whole building. And FEMA, it's 100% funded by the FEMA Public Assistance Program. It's called the 406 HMP program. And Premier Building is the company that you see out doing all the work on the Housing Authority. Apparently they're reputable. Our consultant checked their references, and this is a great project, and it's 100% funded. and we'd like to get started right away. So I recommend moving forward. Thank you.
All right. Any questions from the council members?
Yes?
Go ahead, Karen.
I was looking, I noticed that the account numbers for this project start with an H.
Correct.
Right, so I think that this is a separate fund called FEMA fund.
Correct.
And that's separate from general water, sewer, debt service.
Correct.
Right. Is there any way we can start getting some financial reporting on this account, on this fund?
Absolutely. Yes.
Thank you.
Anything you need from me or anything, Ina and I work collaboratively on all of these. We do have approximately $3 million in the capital budget that is designated for it's like disaster recovery or these FEMA HMP projects that we're going to be doing. We didn't borrow the whole $3 million either. We only borrowed about $1.5 million. It was supposed to be for this project and the MLK. Unfortunately, the MLK project came in. It was estimated about $700,000. It came in about $1.7 million. So right now, I'm working with FEMA to try to get them to approve the additional money. So it's going to be on hold, I would say, for at least a good year. Unfortunately, till next year.
I'd like to see it probably on like a quarterly basis because it is a capital fund and there's so many ins and outs that you have to deal with. So
absolutely,
thank you.
No problem. Thank you,
Commissioner. Could you just explain about the sump pumps?
That's great that you mentioned that because that's another aspect that they're going to be putting in at the ice arena are sump pumps that I didn't mention before.
Okay.
They're putting in sump pumps in case there's a flood or something.
High water
we have
table.
a stop block system in there. It'll pump the water out the side.
Okay.
I mean, like out from a higher elevation.
And the roof drainage is going to connect with that sump pump, or is
that's an interesting question because right now we put money in the capital budget, $800,000 to address the defective roof at the facility.
Okay.
And I think we're going to have to look at that, the roof and the gutter system as part of that project because we never really solved the whole problem with the gutters on the side. FEMA wouldn't pay for that component because they were already. There's a lot of documentation showing that they weren't they weren't there.
I'm just trying to figure out.
That's a great point, though.
The second highest bidder was $1.7 million.
Yes, and that's interesting because I questioned the contractor. He happened to be the low bidder, premier on the MLK as well. So he bid very high on the MLK, relatively low on the ice arena, thinking he was going to get both bids. And I called him before we awarded it to make it clear to him that we were only awarding one, and we had no guarantees about the second bid. But he was the low bidder on both projects. And
have you worked with this contractor before?
I have not.
I understand your concern.
So, but I did check with the housing authority. Apparently, they do decent work, and the price is right.
Price is definitely right.
The next bidder was like $1.7 million.
Yeah.
But no, all indications are that they do satisfactory work. I don't have any reservations at all.
Would you have the same contingency in this one as you did in the?
I don't know offhand. I have to look. It's usually it's going to be in the $50,000 to $75,000 range.
Okay.
It depends. I mean, we use 10% as a rule of thumb. But if it's like a $5 million project, I wouldn't use 10% of $5 million. I would use a lower number. Right. It depends on the scale of the project.
Understood.
The dollar value of the project.
Okay, that's all my questions.
Thank you.
Jody, the hazard mitigation, are they going to be Dutch dams? The stackable.
I call it a stop block system.
The openings?
Yes, that's exactly what they're doing.
Okay.
So generally, and this building has a lot of entryways and exits. So we'll have to have a container on site where they will deploy them in the event of an emergency.
And then the wrap is, I assume, watertight. Then the wrap material.
They call it dry flood proofing, but yes, it's a wrap that goes around the perimeter.
Okay.
It's about 3 or 4 feet up.
All right. Any other questions from the council? Seeing none from the public. Right, we should just get you a chair and leave it there.
Mike, like you brought up, $800,000 for the roof, $900,000 for this. And we were talking about an RFP, and I think you said, Donna, that they initially, I remember these people came down, there was a whole presentation, you did a work session on it. And it really went nowhere, and you said that they were looking for us to pay them? And there are no other RFPs out there? Nobody wants it?
So to me, that's not really clear. And then the intent
Yeah.
of the money from the city is to go to training.
Oh,
We do file tax yearly and make that more clear.
No, I know that, but
The fund balance in the Long Beach Fire Department as of 6/30/2019 was $939,142. I expect that has gone down tremendously in the past year.
and they're maintaining it, right?
A lot of that is
Yeah.
our death benefit.
Okay.
Hell no. Because I remember their presentation, it was like, you know, this is so great for the city and stuff like that. But, yeah, well, they didn't say that. Thanks.
All the revenues from
All right, any other questions from the public?
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong.
All right, seeing none, let's move on to item 7.
Item 7 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into 2 agreements for temporary parking fields.
All right, who's that? You, Rich?
I think so. Can everybody hear me okay? All right, great. My name is Rich Barrios. I'm Deputy Corporation Counsel here. We kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier. The 2 parking fields, one on the Foundation lot, the other over on Broadway by Laurelton, are owned by the Albert family. We've managed to do a lot of hard work to get those lots back. This resolution basically authorizes us to enter into those 2 agreements to use those lots as temporary parking fields. The authority to do that's in Chapter 15 of the Code. The rules are pretty straightforward and simple. Between the hours of 9 p.m. and 8 a.m., you shouldn't be on the lot. If you're on the lot, you're going to get ticketed. You'll probably get towed. Just one point of reference, because of the inclement weather over the Memorial Day weekend, we had a carnival scheduled as an addendum to that agreement. We may be working on a rescheduling of that to this coming weekend. I'm just waiting on the paperwork for that. But this is essentially just 2 agreements to use those lots as temporary parking fields. We don't charge for it. They don't charge us for it. We're glad to have the lots back.
You have a pediatric trauma.
It's going to keep people from parking in front of our driveways and things like that. So, yes, it'll help. Any questions from the council? I think we just need to acknowledge the work Donna and Rich did working with the Alberts to be able to get us access to these lots. Had we not, I mean, that especially the foundation block holds a lot of cars, and those are people that would have been looking on the streets for parking, which means I would have been calling the police again because people will be blocking my driveway again. And so this is a good thing. All right, any questions from the public?
You had a question for
John, first of all, if you think this parking lot's going to stop people from parking in front of your house, you live in the West End. You're nuts. Okay? Just a real quick question. Tonight we're giving you authorization, so to speak, but the agreements were entered into May 1st. How do we... Is this a retroactive authorization? Okay. Oh, it's great. I'm not sure that's... Yeah.
Just be 24% of the
Yeah.
There is a number.
Right.
The other consideration, these are known contracts. If you apply 24% of the value of those contracts, you should be able to come up with a number. This also entails
But the agreements were signed on the 1st, May 1st, a month ago. And now, well, it says on the portal. I love your portal, by the way. I love your portal. Sure, but on the portal it says you signed them on May 1st, and then tonight we're giving you the authorization to do it, which to me was a little backwards, but yeah. No, I'm not saying that. I just, yeah. And then they're not authorizing the agreement in this resolution. They're authorizing you to enter into an agreement. So they're not voting on the agreement that you've already entered into. Right. Yeah. But we are responsible if someone gets hurt and stuff like that. Now, we're self-insured, and they have no liability. We carry all the liability. Do we have extra insurance for these two lots? Well, we don't have insurance policies under, like...
Right there, Addendum.
But Donna, what I'm saying is we're self-insured, and at a certain point after the self-insurance, and I think after about $800,000, Rich, you would know this, then our insurance covers up to $4 million, and then after $4 million, the insurance doesn't cover it anymore. But in this particular case, do we have any? Did we purchase any? Like for the carnival, they had to buy insurance. Okay, did we purchase anything like that for the city, or are we just doing it under our self-insured stuff? Ouch. Okay, thanks.
All right, any more questions from the public?
William Depper again. I have a question about parking by the beach gas trailer. Wasn't there supposed to be like guys there to? Because there's
Mr. Depper, can you just step to the microphone?
do not enter here. But other than that, the cars are just hopping up on the sidewalk to get a spot. Yeah, but there was like nobody there. I was shocked to even see people. I didn't even know it was starting today, the beach volleyball. And they're so packed. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be a mess. But the point I'm trying to make is the toll booth there, there's a little toll booth there that I noticed last weekend, the big windstorm, it shifted the toll booth onto the sidewalk. And it hasn't been addressed yet, but I've seen it already flip over. So, are you going to be putting more garbage cans over in that area? Okay. All right, that's about it. Thank you.
All right, any more questions? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to voting.
On to the voting. And we'll start with item number 4, which is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement for the furnishing, removal, and installation of a new PVC pool liner for the Long Beach indoor pool from the lowest responsible bidder. Excuse me. Who will introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting. Councilmember Delory.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
Vice President McGinnis.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 5 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to amend the agreement for rehabilitation of the Long Beach Bus Garage and the commuter parking facility. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting. Councilmember Delory.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
Vice President McGinnis.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 6 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement for hazard mitigation work at the Long Beach Ice Arena with the lowest responsible bidder. Will introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting. Councilmember Delory.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
Vice President McGinnis.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
And finally, item 7 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into 2 agreements for temporary parking fields. Will introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Delory.
I'd like to thank City Manager Gaden and all her hard work, and I vote yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
I too would like to thank Ms. Gaden and Rich Berrios and the Albert family for allowing this to happen, and I vote yes.
Vice President McGinnis.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
We'll make a motion to close the meeting.
I will.
Second.
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Delory.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
Vice President McGinnis.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes. Okay, on to good and welfare. So you get 3 minutes. And, oh, Dave moved the sheets to the back. All right.
Can I just say how nice it is to hear everybody laughing? We're always on mute.
I just want to say it's good to see everybody here, and,
Dave, this
you
is
know,
first.
having Zoom meetings is just not
Okay, like this. face
what
it.
a good
So this should be
public
bottom, right?
dialogue is, in my opinion. I personally learn a lot from questions that come up. And it's good to see everybody. Yeah. And I miss everybody, yeah.
All right. So first, and I don't know how many he put in the box tonight. This Roy Lester.
I'll try to be quick. And Ron, I guess the first one is for you. Police satisfaction
Roy,
survey.
can you just talk in? Thank you. I just want people to be able to hear you.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
How much is that police satisfaction survey costing us? Now you're sounding like my wife. You save money. The stress, you save money on it. Okay, man. Donna, this one's for you. On the public, on the reports are great. A little lengthy, but they're great. But, you know, the public could... Yeah.
Yes.
It would be great if the public were allowed to ask questions about those reports because, you know, the reports bring up questions and, you know.
And I'm glad. Can you hear me, Dave?
It's not coming off my 3, Donna.
Yeah, I know. He
right.
stops it when I speak. I
We all-
understand you're saying the reports are very lengthy, but prior to me getting here,
Yeah.
the city manager was the only person that speaks.
Oh, I remember.
And the city manager doesn't do all the work in the city. And so the residents need to know who's working for them and what the projects they are working on. So it may be a little lengthy, but it's informative.
It is informative, yes. That's why I say it'd be great if we could ask questions about it. Charter. You know, I spent 6 hours today for question number 2. Very annoying. Anyway, but the charter is almost impossible to navigate. You know, it doesn't have an index, anything like that. The other part, the codes have an index, but the charter doesn't.
Okay.
And so you have to scroll through the whole thing, and it's just really, if you could change that, it'd be great, a lot easier. And Joe, this one, Joe Brand, you had said that as far as the beach numbers are concerned, we're still dictated by COVID. In what respect are we? Oh. And what are the rules now? Because I can't keep track. No, as far as, well, capacity and events. Rules. Yeah.
change the following. The wording for a period of 2 weeks until 41, 698 to both the fourth and whereas clause and the second clause. Please change that to for a period of 4 weeks at a total of 68, 536, 21.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Good luck with that. No. All right, so right now it's 500, basically. Okay, thanks. That's it?
Thanks,
And
Roy.
Like 3 minutes, huh?
Yeah, thanks,
Can
Roy.
I put him in the back?
All right, Mr. Hodge.
Item 5 is a resolution authorizing publication of hearing on the local law amending the charter of the city of Long Beach. This item is a publication.
Greetings, President, and greeting council members, greeting to our city manager. I come to you and ask and say that we actually take a moment. I heard nothing about or saw nothing on the city of Long Beach site about the atrocity that took place 100 years ago. Sometimes we say Black Lives Matter because if you don't tell your story, nobody else will. And so one of the number one atrocities that happened in this country, where a city was bombed, was in Tulsa, Oklahoma. There have been many massacres, but that one, I believe, that we should have a moment of silence during my 3 minutes. James Hodge, 95 East Fulton Street. Let me reintroduce myself, because sometimes it seems like many of the city council members and the city administration have forgot who I am. I'm a man that's been in the city of Long Beach for 44 years, 23 years working for my great city. Over 80 awards from federal, state, local, and even many organizations. Thought I've tried to do what I could do to be that role model, that young African-American man in the community. Never been to jail, never had a sip of alcohol. Cursed about 5 times or 15 times in my life. Ask all my friends and anybody that know me. Joined every organization I could to help out. Was a great part of the auxiliary police here in the city of Long Beach. I worked very hard to make my mother and father proud, who's in heaven. And I pray that I'm making them proud now. My mother and father came from Alabama, poor, worked very hard and taught me how to work. That's all I've done. Tell me what have I done to try to go out and feed people from Nevada to Maple, from the Bay to the ocean, during Sandy, volunteering all my time, and then during this pandemic, one of the first people to wear a mask because I have underlines and found out, which I thought I had cancer, but I have an autoimmune disease. So tell me what do I do? What did I do wrong, having seniority more than most of this city? So proud that we finally found an African American that can be city manager, that can show that black people are smart too, and then only to be fired after working with her a few times. So even if the city manager don't know me, this city council know me because I've been here 44 years, and I've given back. I've done what Mrs. Oldham and the MLK and my father and mother taught me. And I say to you that if you don't see that you're wrong, God sees and hears every conversation. And I pray that I'm doing God's will, even when the doctor, and I'll finish up with say this, even when my cardiologist told me that I'm risking my life doing the distribution. I told him if I go help in my community. So again, I finished saying, what is good in your eye if I've been giving back doing what I'm supposed to do in my community? Thank you for your time. I will continue praying for you. No matter how you do me, God judges me for how I do all of you. God bless.
Thank you, James.
James, I just want to say, just as I said at the last meeting and meetings before, you pray for us, we pray for you. And God sees everything. I'm a Christian. So just as I came here as a woman who had credentials to sit in this seat, who happens to be black. And know that I see what's right and I see what's wrong. And so don't ever think that just because I'm black, I'm going to pick one race over the another. I'm going to do what is right. So when you stand there and say, myself, as a black woman who did not see what you have done, I said to you last week, the last meeting, that I appreciate everything you have done. I applaud you for everything that you have done. You know that we don't talk personnel issues, but week after week, when we have a meeting, you come up to say that you were let go. So if you want to come to my office and meet with myself and Richard Barrios so that you can understand what the layoff process was, once again, I will be so glad to meet you. And to start off the meeting, I tell you what we'll do. We'll have prayer. Thank you.
Well, like you said,
you're done.
The
it.
thing is,
that was your time, James.
I have 23 years in. So the layoff process, I understand, getting the budget right. But how did I, with seniority, get on that list?
You know how you got on the list.
James, make an appointment to talk to Donna.
I'm just saying, I'll make an appointment, but it's wrong. Donna may be here another year or two, and then she's gone off. She will do her job and completed her job, and then she'll go off. This city council has the obligation to understand what's right and wrong. 23 years?
Okay. So
23 years I've served, and I'll continue serving, because I serve unto God, and I serve the people of this community. I'll serve.
Okay. Thank you, James. And Miss O'Leary.
You sure?
Okay, Jay Gusla.
Yes.
All right. Eileen Hession.
I just have two short things. One is that I hated being on Zoom. I'm so happy to be back here again. But during all that time with Zoom, I didn't complain about it. I was happy that we had that, and I was grateful that you considered the problems that we were having and you were safe rather than sorry. So thank you for doing the Zoom, and thank you now for opening this up. There were some people who did complain vastly about why we didn't have meetings in City Hall a long time ago, as if it was some nefarious plot against the city not having it here. And the funny thing is, as I look around, those complainers aren't here tonight. So who knows? The second thing I want to do is thank President Bendo and this entire administration for keeping up with those illegal overpayments, trying to claw them back for us, because after all, that is our money. And I'm very grateful to all of you for keeping up with that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Jim Kirkland.
Yes.
I, too, am glad to see everybody back. I'm glad to be here. It's nice to see familiar faces again. But the thing I wanted to talk about was you were talking earlier about the beautification of the city. Well, one of the things I noticed as I walk around that a lot of properties have hedges alongside the sidewalks, and they extend maybe 2 feet out into the sidewalk. And sometimes they have trees, and they have branches that are so low even I have to duck. So, I mean, it's something that's very apparent if you're walking down any of these streets, but I don't know if the city has, anybody who's responsible for, just constantly, besides you, walking around and seeing just exactly what needs to be done.
We're going to start walking with the building department so that they will start making the routines so that they can go to people and say, you need to do this for your lawn, you need to do like the trees if they're hanging over, things like that.
Okay, well, I'm glad to hear that because I do take a lot of time on my own property. So.
And we're going to start a beautification commission.
Oh, sounds good.
It's my understanding it was 1 year before, and so and they took pride in what they did. So we're looking to start again.
Okay, very good. Be happy to hear that. Thank you.
All right, so that's a wrap, folks, for our first get together again, and we will see you again in a couple of weeks.
Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Do they ever purchase any houses in here? to the water guy, the fountain outside, is that recycled water, or is that like, when you buy the fountain, you plug them in, the water continuously goes, or is that like every day water that's being used?
Joe, the question was the fountain out front. It's just like a pool type, but it's a closed
No,
system.
it's not reclaimable. Is that the question?
No, but it's a closed system. It's just taking the water in the fountain, just spraying it.
Oh, it's recirculating.
Right, it's just recirculating the water.
Then also the slides that we couldn't see because of the glare, is anything going to possibly be done? Maybe put a curtain up so we could view it better?
Actually,
You know, especially
mumbling to the city manager, I told him we need to move the screen from that side of the room to that side of the room.
Yeah. They're all posted,
So the presentations are posted on the website now. So if you go to the city website where the agenda for the city council meeting is, the presentations are there.
Okay, all three of them are on there.
And just quick in regard to your first question about the housing authority, since they left, so they just said they're having a meeting Thursday evening. That's
Yeah,
all
but then
they
it says, I don't get asked to go because I'm not in their senior program, I'm on the other program.
No, but what I'm saying is the meeting is open to the public, so you can go. It's open to all.
Yeah, I didn't even know about it, and I'm on this
Yeah,
site. They don't advertise it at all. Yeah, all right, that's really all I have to say. I just want to thank you very much for letting me have the testing event on National HIV Testing Day, which is June 27th. I know it's a Sunday, and I know I kind of like was here earlier, but the guy from AHL Pharmacy, which is the AIDS Healthcare Foundation Pharmacy, said that Carrie never got back to him to let him know that we were good to go. So I have the flyers, I actually have a pin from the skating because I did see the red ribbon behind you when we were doing it virtual. I didn't know if that was for heart or for AIDS, but I brought you a survivor pin that you could wear for any one of you, and I have some on order to bring to give out on June 27th.
Thank you.
Thank
The
you.
term behind me that you see behind me on the virtual is for breast cancer. The ribbon-
Isn't pink usually breast cancer?
They're pink. Maybe
They look red.
No, they're pink.
Oh, it's pink?
Yes, but thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Jason Massey.
My name is Jason Massey. I've been a resident of Long Beach for all my 46 years. I'm here to formally request the renaming of a street here in Long Beach. I have a prepared statement to read. We, the KMD MF Doom Committee, request that the East Hudson Street block between Riverside Boulevard and Long Beach be named KMD MF Doom Way to commemorate one of our city's greatest cultural legacy contributors as indicated in our petition, KMD MF Doom Way, renaming the street. The City Council received this letter electronically stating this request on February 22nd, 2021. The symbols and markers of our neighborhood provide a sense of collective cultural memory. Nearly 10,000 people have signed this petition to name the street KMD/MF Doom Way in Long Beach, New York. Danny Doomley, the artist known as MF Doom, had a version of hip-hop that represents some of the culture's best linguistic metaphors, garnering international and interracial admiration. His life and art symbolize the resilience we need in our present context. Over the last few years, the world witnessed a global pandemic and a re-energized movement for racial equity and symbolism. Amid this transformation, the hip-hop community, the heirs of our past civilized generation, continue to evaluate their legacies and memories. The KMD MF Doomway street naming movement is a part of this new tradition. Doomway's life serves as an example of inclusive community building and growth through individual struggle. His career began in Long Beach, New York in the late 1980s. Dumley formed the group KMD, causing much damage, which means a positive cause in a much damaged society, under his stage name Zeb Valdez, along with his brother Dingley, DJ Sub Rock Dumley, and others of the Long Beach youth. He experienced early success. After a tragic car accident took the life of his brother DJ Sub Rock in 1993, and a disagreement with his label ended their relationship shortly after, Doom disappeared into obscurity. He battled homelessness and feelings of abandonment. However, like a prophet who finds his true self in the desert, Dumley called on his youthful experience in Long Beach and reemerged as MF Doom. Dumley took his pain and experience as youth to develop the persona. He incorporated cartoons, Marvel comics, food, and sounds of his younger self in an incubation process. His album, Operation Doomsday, which was released in 1999, will become an instant classic. Other albums and collaborations followed with even greater fanfare solidified Dumley as a hip-hop icon. He is credited with some of the most intricate uses of the English language on wax. He is an avid, skateboarder who developed interracial coalitions across the city. Doom combined this generation's sound with his skateboarding pastime to bring young people across differences into intimate spaces. This is his real legacy. As a hip-hop artist, he continued that tradition. His concerts were some of the most diverse in the industry.
Sir, your time is up. Can you leave back up? 20 seconds or two?
20 seconds. It is a gift Long Beach residents should be proud to call their own. Long Beach should honor their native son and his legacy on the street sign, please. The city should embrace the broader implications of unity and artistry Dumley represents, which was true of hip hop from the beginning. I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much. Just so you know, we just were sorry we didn't get back to you in February, but we were just talking about this yesterday. So you will hear from us about, because we're trying to find out about street naming or making it an honorary street, all the legalities to go to it. So I didn't want you to think we forgot about you. It's just taking us a while to get through everything we had to do. So you should be hearing something from us next week.
Thank you.
And then we'll bring it to the council at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
very much.
Okay, Roy Lester.
Great presentation. Great evening, I just have a bunch of questions. Listen, if you don't have any answers today, just, we can do it next week or something. Again, I'm asking that the public be allowed to ask questions in the presentation, after the presentation. The people on here and to ask, to use your email for your 3 minutes to ask on 3 different topics, so it just isn't right. And also, if we can get the additions to the presentations put out at the same time that the agenda is put out. I downloaded the agenda, I didn't know that there were additions. I think they would just put out together, I'm sure, but it would be great. Also, on the audit, last year's audit was 9 pages, this presentation I think was 4 pages. Usually the audits come out in April and May. Do you know when we'll get that audit? The long one, the big one?
It should be on.
No, it's done, please wait. It's out of time.
No, you won't. You'll see it within the next couple of days on the website.
Okay, great.
It's already on the website.
She said it's already on the website.
I checked before I came here. It wasn't here on the website.
Okay.
So, when yes, and if we can do something about the opening of bids, it's really kind of a waste of time. I watched the other day with the opening of bids for the bicycle rentals, and I watched for a minute and 37 seconds as someone opened an envelope, and that was it. That was it. They opened an envelope. And when you see something open an envelope, if we could tell a little bit about the bid, it would be great. Anyway, my main question has to do with on April 14th, we entered into a contract with M3, a $750,000 contract, and it was retroactive to March 1st. It expired on May 31st, so theoretically we don't have a contract. The arrangement gave us a discounted rate of between $395 and $1,225 you know, he said it was a discounted rate, that they normally, it's way over the 750,000 that they were going to get. So I don't know what, you know, what's going on, if we've entered into a new agreement or anything like that. They were supposed to do 10 different services, you know, 13-week cash flow and all sorts of other stuff, but I don't know if they've done it or not. I haven't seen it. I've been looking for it. But they said that it was the desire of M3 and the client that the services be completed within the 90 days, so they would have been completed. It was the desire that it be completed by the May 31st date. I don't think it was. I don't know. But, you know, my questions are, did we enter into a new contract with them already? Did the discounted rate apply to the new contract? You know, what work was done under the service agreement, and what's the status of collecting the money from the state? Because, you know, they're supposed to be paying, hopefully they're paying for it. But there was also some language that I was curious about that said no state or federal funds will be specifically directed by the state or federal government to make any payments to M3, i.e. M3 will be paid from the client's general fund and not by any other source in connection with this engagement. London comes out of Texas. So, like I said, it's a lot of
I
questions.
can answer a couple of them. There will be a presentation in the month of July from M3 in Old Albany. They have done quite a bit of work. We have been going back and forth, looking at everything, cash flows, along with CMA. M3, there is no new contract. They have been working with us. The $750,000, that's what it was capped at. They want to see this through. And we will have a meeting with the attorneys on Thursday to go over where we are. So we have been working very hard. We just have not come forward with what we're working on, and a presentation will be sometime in the month of July.
But the 750, even though they continue to work, because
We're going to work that out, but I did make the state aware of it. We will work it out. We have not had an agreement because M3, the owner of M3 said he wanted to see this finish, and he was not going to gouge us, and he was not going to penny pinch us because this is a big project. He's invested in this project.
holding you to that.
I'm sorry?
I'm holding you to that.
Well, it's a good firm. I did talk to the state. Because of the money that the federal government has given all of the states and the municipalities, like where we're supposed to receive $3.6 million, they put to the side all of the work for the FRB, but we should be hearing something in July.
Have we paid them? Okay, thank you.
I have a question, Mr. Lester. Just describe your bid process, what you heard, what you saw. Your bid process that you said that the bicycle.
You got to see this one more.
I just want
I'll tell you exactly what it was like. Two women were sitting there, and for the first 30 seconds, nothing. This was a total of 1 minute and 37 seconds. Then they introduced themselves. They took an envelope. They said, we received one bid. And they opened the envelope, and they said, this is the bid. And that was the end of the bid opening. I watched someone opening the envelope.
they should announce the name.
Excuse me?
They should announce the name of the bidder.
They did, but I didn't catch it. It wasn't anybody that we had Gecko Bike at one point. We had different bike places. I just was surprised at one bid, given the number of bike rental places there are now.
So you could hear their name, but you couldn't hear anything else. Was it an audio problem?
No, it wasn't that. There was nothing, we received one bid. I don't even remember, they did say the name. We received one bid, and that was the end of it.
Okay.
I watched them open an envelope.
I looked at other bids, and I didn't have the same experience that you just described, so.
But watch this one.
So the purpose of putting it on YouTube, what the city has done in the past is that they have had bids, opened the bids, and they were not done in public.
Yeah.
And so when I noticed that, I said, you have to at least open them and record it on YouTube. So no one can say that we were doing as a city with anything with the bids. So maybe their presentation is off, but it's transparency. And so now that we're fully open, that when a bid is due, they will come to this chamber and they will open the bids, and there will be people here so that people can see that we're not letting people come in early, they're not coming in after the bid is open. That is the reason. That was the only bid that was received, and that's why it was so short. So I apologize for maybe their presentation, but it's for transparency's sake.
So it's just to make sure that there's nothing in the envelope or nothing else? Or
Whatever they receive, they open those envelopes once they go into the opening of the bid process. If nothing is in the envelope, they will announce there's nothing in the envelope. If we have one bid, they will say that there is one bid. This is the one bid we received. If we did have an instance before we started that where somebody said my bid came in at X time and you didn't do that. Well, if you are not transparent when you open the bids, what steps are you going to take to fight that? All bids should be open in public so that there are no questions. So that was the only bid that she had.
It would be great if we knew what the bid was, if we knew something about the bid, at the time of the opening.
Well, I apologize for the presentation, but the bid was the bid opening for bicycle. Maybe she didn't announce it properly. The only thing I can do is apologize for her presentation, but for now on, it will be done in public.
And you've done it, will that be able to go out this summer?
Which bid?
The bicycle rental program.
That was the bid that they received. Now it goes to the bid committee or the RFP committee to see if they answered all of the questions within the RFP and whether they want to move forward.
So, is it feasible that it will happen this summer?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Eileen Hessian.
Yes.
Jay Dussler.
I'm Thursday, I'll pass.
Thank you. Judy Viney.
Okay, I know the hearing for the change in some of the ordinances is on the 6th. But in reading what you proposed, I never would have known to ask you this question at all, except that I made a phone call to the State Liquor Authority asking them about labeling in terms of the ice cream store, right? And what I was told is the State Liquor Authority is the Alcohol and Beverage Control Board. Therefore, they only have authority over beverages. One of those little quirks that you would never know. So I'm reading this and it's saying, Section 10, Chapter 18, sale, use, and possession of alcoholic beverages. My suggestion is that we say of alcohol or alcohol products. It doesn't really matter because you can buy a cup of Tasty Scoops and it has no label on it that says alcohol. Or anywhere else that, it may happen. So in the interest of not having to undo something, I would suggest proactively that in that one little section it says, sale, use, and possession of alcohol, and no person shall offer for sale any intoxicating beverage. I would probably either remove the word beverage or add or alcohol in any form.
Just one thing that I can come out. I believe the agricultural laws that covers the alcoholic ice cream food does state that the state regulations regarding the age of consumption and labeling are still in effect.
Understood. I understand.
They're still considered, they're still covered under that same portion of the law.
I understand that. But I'm saying you're going to the code of ordinances where you're saying there's no alcohol in the parks, beaches, wherever. I would just, in the interest of clarity, either say in any form or remove the word beverage. So that you don't have to redo it again. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And Deidre? Deidre? Okay, then that was it. Thanks for joining us, folks. And we will see you at the next meeting.
Thanks, Buck.
Oh, by the way, what? Oh, recycling tomorrow is... Paper. Is paper.